What's going on? Is Anton from antondaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Trump has recently signed executive orders and taken action to make sure that every truck driver that's on the road can read and speak and write English. Check it out. We're going to deep dive into it, and I want to make sure you guys are informed. So if you decide to go and get your CDL, then you know you got to be able to read and write English. I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't know that people couldn't read and write English that was able to get a CDL, let alone a license. But it says enforcing common sense rules of the road for America's truck drivers by the authority vested in me as president of the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America. It is hereby ordered. Section 1 purpose. America's truck drivers are essential to the strength of our economy, the security of our nation, and the livelihoods of the American people. Every day, truckers perform the demanding and dangerous work of transporting the nation's goods to businesses, customers, and communities safely, reliably, and efficiently. It says that you have to be proficient in English, which I designated as our official national language in the Executive Order 14224 of March 1st, 2025, designating English as the official language of the United States of America. So basically, he had previously did an executive order where our official language was English, and a lot of people were like, well, what was the point of that? Like, everybody speaks English, or most people speak English. Well, that was the precursor to now requiring everybody to be able to read and speak our official language. Goes on to say, should be a non-negotiable safety requirement for professional drivers. I agree. They should be able to read and understand traffic signs, communicate with traffic safety, border patrol, agricultural checkpoints, and cargo weight limit station officers. Drivers need to provide feedback to their employers and customers and receive related directions in English. This is common sense. I don't know how this wasn't common sense. I don't know how we got to the point to where the people that were over the road, and I'm not a truck driver, so I don't know, but it seems like it would be common sense to me, or it will be a safety issue, because if you cannot read or speak English, then how can you obey the laws? How can you even read? How can you even, communicate with people effectively over the road? That is why federal law requires that to operate a commercial vehicle, a driver must read and speak the English language sufficiently to converse with the general public, to understand highway traffic safety signs and signals in the English language, to respond to the official inquiries, and to make entries on reports and records. Yet this requirement has not been enforced in years, and America's roadways have become less safe. I think that the last time that we actually had this mandate that people read and speak English proficiently was prior to the Obama administration. Obama actually eased the rules, if I'm not mistaken, but we'll come to that. My administration will enforce the law to protect the safety of American truckers, drivers, passengers, and others, including by upholding the safety enforcement regulations that ensure that anyone behind the wheel of a commercial vehicle is properly qualified and proficient in our national language, English. And I would assume that this also protects whatever companies that you drive for, because if you then become liable and you become a liability and you do something wrong, the fact that you can't communicate effectively probably plays into the lawsuit. Number 2, policy. It is the policy of my administration to support America's truckers and safeguard our roadways by enforcing the common sense English language requirement for commercial motor vehicle drivers and removing needless regulatory burdens that undermine the working conditions of America's truckers. This order will help ensure a safe, secure, and efficient motor carrier industry. I agree. I'm really trying to understand how you're even able to get a license to be able to do this. It goes down to say in Section 4, within 60 days of the date of this order, the Secretary of Transportation shall identify and begin carrying out additional administrative, regulatory, or enforcement actions to improve the working conditions of American truckers. Donald J. Trump, obviously, he goes into more detail, but it's pretty straightforward to just basically say that you are now required as a person that is on the road here in the United States of America to be able to speak English. That is pretty straightforward, but I want to actually deep dive a little bit more so that we understand exactly what's going on. And so you guys, those of you that don't understand, Secretary Sean Duffy actually joined Fox News to expound on it after being asked a question, and this is what he had to say.
What's going on with the truck drivers? You're making them all learn English now? They have to.
Well, yeah. So, by the way, the truck drivers, I get more feedback from truck drivers who are angry that there's other truck drivers who don't speak English. And so,
that's crazy.
Barack Obama lowered the standard, so you got a slap on the wrist if you didn't speak English. Where before they would immobilize your vehicle, your semi would get parked if you couldn't speak English. We're going to go back to the pre-Obama era where if you can't speak English, by the way, this is dangerous.
The reason's because they can't read the road signs, right?
Well, there's road signs, or if you get stopped by law enforcement, you can't communicate. You can't, So we're going back to the old standard, and again, it's going to make our roads safer.
All right,
the president signed an executive order yesterday for that.
Let's find out what the audience wants to ask Sean Duffy, the Secretary of Transportation. And
so that's pretty much it. And again, I'm trying to understand how people were able to get over the road without being able to speak English as a truck driver, a commercial truck driver, a CDL. How were you able to get on the road without being able to read and speak and write English? I would expect that if I went to another country, that in order for me to be able to sufficiently earn a living, that I would need to be able to speak whatever the native language. Maybe being bilingual will make me more valuable. Maybe that will also give me more revenue. But however, the native language of whatever it is happening over there, and I cannot tell you how many places that I've been to, even outside of the trucking industry, how many places that I've been to that a lot of people don't even speak English. I mean, even right here in Michigan, if you go over to Dearborn, there are some people that are here that have been here for a long time that have never spoken the English language. They can probably understand you. They can even probably communicate a teeny bit with you, but there are people that do not speak English. If you go down to Miami, there are people that do not speak English. It is a Spanish-speaking city. So much so to where I believe, as of right now, I don't know, maybe things have changed a little bit. I was just down there about a month ago. I believe that in order for you to be successful in Miami or in Southern Florida and a lot of the places in Southern Florida, that you need to be able to speak Spanish probably just as fluently as you speak English, at least some form of broken Spanish, Spanglish, I don't know. You have to be able to understand what people are saying because you cannot serve the industry down there. And it is an industry that is largely supported by migrants. As ironic as that may sound, you could be in places inside of the United States of America and you need to learn Spanish in order to survive there instead of it being the other way around. So the industry, the trucking industry, I haven't heard anything about how people feel about it. I just recently got the news, so as soon as I actually looked up the executive order, because he signed it yesterday, as soon as I looked up the executive order, I wanted to read it for myself, in addition to actually seeing what other people are saying about it on the news. Obviously, they talking about it on social media. I seen one trucker say something like there's going to be like a $5,000 fine or a $10,000 fine, or one of the two if you can't do one of the others, and you're going to be taken out of the truck because it's unsafe for you to operate on the road that way. I know that there's going to be some liberals that are upset about it, but that's just what liberals do. Any executive order, I'm not sure that there's one that they agree with that Trump has ever signed that they say, you know what, that actually makes sense for Americans. But it's not until something happens to somebody that you love or you to where you then would mandate it, because if it wasn't a mandate to prevent you from being injured or hurt, or somebody over the road that you love is impacted by it, then they would say, hey, why aren't we doing this? Why isn't this something that we should have addressed a long time ago? But because we're being proactive, because we're American first, because anybody that comes over here, and even if you do become a citizen, you need to be able to adjust our culture and not the other way around, people will be upset about it. But I'm going to stay on top of it as usual. I'm going to talk about it more extensively on the Millionaire Morning Show in the morning. Make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, Teach Hanley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off for life. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you guys later. Let me know what y'all think inside of the comments.